I'm delighted to say we're turning to athletics now ahead of the European Indoor Athletics, which are going to be fast and furious over the next few days. And I'm delighted to say Phil Healy is with us. Phil, good morning to you. How are you?
Hey, how are things? Thanks a million for having me on.
What part of the world are you in at the moment?
I am currently in Waterford, still in the gym after training this morning, but yeah, I'm here.
When are you heading off?
I leave on Friday, so the Europeans actually start on Thursday evening. I know the 1500 metre boys are on Thursday evening, and then the relay is on Sunday for me, Sunday evening.
And so the decision for you to just be a part of the relay team this time, what goes into making a decision like that for you?
Look, it definitely was a hard decision because I've gone to an indoor major championship every year since 2016, and COVID year in 2020 was the only year that it wasn't on. So I suppose that's a tough decision to make when you're there year after year. The last time we had European Indoor Championships was 2021 and I finished fourth there. So now it has come around where my body isn't where I want it to be. I'm not running the times where I want it to be. So I knew I wasn't going to give the best performance individually, and it certainly wouldn't be at my standards of going out there in a European Championship. So I wanted to save it for the relay and give the best shot that I can for the relay. And I suppose you just have to go away from that individual mindset. Like, we're individual athletes all the time, and like, we rarely have a relay together. So I suppose it is a hard one to make, but for this championships, it's all about the team.
Again, you make the point there that you're an individual athlete, so it's really difficult to step out of that for a moment and go, okay, that must be very disappointing at one level.
100%, because even if I qualified for European Championships last year, like the qualification window opened in 2022, and I was running 51 second 400 meters after 51 seconds. And like, if I look at the rankings for the championships this year, I was running 51.6 last year. That would rank me fourth or fifth going into this championship. But this is sport. This is the way it rolls. Not every year is going to be a good year. And yeah, it is a hard decision, but at least I am injury free. And I suppose that is the main thing, although there is a few health things going on. And I suppose that can be more frustrating and less clear, I suppose, and frustrating as an athlete. But yeah, it was a decision we had to make. And yes, we could have shied away from the European Championships altogether, but this is a great opportunity for a women's 4x4 team. It's the first time we have a women's 4x4 relay in European Indoor Championships since 2010, I think. So it's a massive opportunity. We have two new girls making their senior debut as part of the team, and the squad is growing year after year. So it's great to see everybody is stepping up and everybody is keeping each other on their toes. So we're fighting for those places, and it's great to see women 400 metre sprinting in Ireland going to new levels as well.
You said it was a tough decision, of course, Phil, but it also strikes me as maybe a mature decision. Like, when athletes are coming through at 17, 18, there's maybe an eagerness and a willingness to maybe push the body to places it shouldn't be going, whereas now you're obviously more in tune and I guess more accepting of what it can and can do at certain times of the year.
100%, and I suppose you just have to take that step back. And for me, after coming fourth in 2021, like, a final is obviously the main goal again, and I know my body is nowhere near even probably getting to a semi-final if I wanted to compete individually. So like, that is, I'm only setting myself up for failure, and I'm exposing myself in that environment where I don't need to, where I can go in, run the relay, give the best possible leg over that 4x4 distance for the relay team, go away from the championship, start again, and look forward to outdoor season. Hopefully things are back firing the way they should be.
And when do you feel like you'll be back to yourself?
I suppose for me, like, the winter was very frustrating and I didn't have the answers of what was actually going on. There was a few different things, like my white blood cells and things were all over the place. But yesterday, I actually had a consultant appointment in Beaumont and I finally got more clarity and I finally got answers. So I suppose it's just about adjusting to those changes now and treating what I need to treat, because I do have thyroid issues and I do have an autoimmune disease with that. So we do have a lot of tests coming up in the next few weeks to rule out any other autoimmune diseases. And I suppose for the athlete, no athlete wants an injury ever in their career. But for me, at one point, it was nearly easier if it was an injury, because at least I would have had a set road to recovery and you have answers. But there was a point in the winter where I did contemplate, like, should I stick with the sport? Should I not stick with the sport? And I know some of the listeners are probably like, God, that's so dramatic. It is only sport at the end of the day, but it is also your career at the end of the day. Yes, I do have a full-time job on the side, and people were saying that, oh, because the performances weren't coming out, it's because you've changed and started working full-time. But I'm like, if only you actually realize behind the scenes, that is not the case. And the job for me has been a great balance, has been a great change. But yeah, there was a point where I did think maybe my time is done in the sport. Maybe it's not worth going at it anymore. And like, I suppose if you're in any career, any profession, and you're not performing day after day, you're like, why am I staying in this? Why I'm not enjoying it? So like, there was that point, and I did stick with it, and hopefully things are coming around in the right way. And like, obviously it's easy to share the highs day after day, but the lows are important to share as well, just to be transparent, and I suppose to be honest. And I certainly wasn't looking for pity or anything like that when I did say that I was withdrawing from the 400. It was just, I have had a great run of it over the last few years, going to major championship after major championship and getting semi-finals, going to the Olympics and different things like that. But there does come a time where your body just isn't responding, and for me that is now. And finally I have got answers, and finally I can treat that, and hopefully things will come together again.
I don't know if you don't want to talk about this, that's totally fine. We don't need to, but it sounds like you've been on a journey of discovery to try and like get the science to be as exact as it possibly can. Like you talk about the level of competition that you're at. Every single second of every single day has to be measured out, and you're against the clock the whole time. So it's about measurement of even down to white cell count. It must be incredibly frustrating when you suddenly lose control over that.
100%, because there was a time where my bloods looked perfect, but still training was such a struggle. And for me, I know the ins and outs of training, and there's no fooling me in thinking that things are okay. And I suppose that makes me very hard to coach at times as well. But the reality was that training wasn't good enough. My body, even when we took the intensity out and we were doing the slower pace stuff in training, my body just was not responding. And I'm like, will I ever be back to being able to run properly? And I suppose you're performing and you're training at such an intense rate all the time. You need to be on top of your game all the time. Everything does need to be in a line. So I did have a great team around me. Shane, my coach, is always there, and then working with the doctors in UPMC in Waterford and Sport Ireland as well. It was great to have that and to try find answers. And we're on the road to recovery, and we're on the road to getting back there. And I suppose I just wanted to be clear on what was going on, because it hasn't just been the winter. It has been ever since I got COVID in March of last year. Things haven't been right. And I'm not one to share, like some athletes are out there and they're sharing that on their journey and all the tough times along the way. For me, I only shared it last week, but it has been a year of struggle. It has been a year of lacking consistency in training. And for me, performance is built on consistency week after week. And even if I look at the last year, that I'd come to training and one day is good, the next day is poor, and you don't know what way your body is on a certain day, and you're giving it 100%, and it's like, okay, it's not there today. And I suppose then when I went to European Championships last summer, I was certainly such a below par performance, but then I had the relay a couple of days later, and that was a good performance, and then I had the final of the relay, and that was a poor performance. So like, it's one day it's good, one day it's bad, but this is your body at the end of the day. You have to accept that you're not a robot and can compete day after day and perform at that level. And we just had to take a step back and see what was actually going on.
I think I remember speaking to you before, Phil. It was a bit after you'd broken your foot in 2019 at the training camp in Malta. And of course, this is a completely different health issue than that was. But does having those setbacks before build up a little bit of scar tissue and make this easier, or is it just adding to the frustration that you're having to be out of action again?
It does in ways, and I suppose when breaking my foot in 2019, I knew it was broken. I knew I couldn't run. I had the answers, and I had a road to recovery. And I remember even saying to Shane a couple of weeks ago, I was like, when I came back from breaking my foot, I was actually running quicker, and now I have no injury and my body just isn't able. And it was so frustrating. So I actually think this time was more frustrating than ever, because no one could give me the answers of, is my body ever going to be back? Is a break, taking a few weeks off, the best of things? And I was like, right, if I take a few weeks off, there's probably a high chance I'll never come back again. Because I was like, what's the point? And I know, like, when you're the athlete in that situation, you don't want to take a break. You want to keep going. You want to get your body back around. But sometimes maybe it is the best option. But yeah, it was so frustrating. And even say, like, throughout the indoors, I knew the indoor races were coming closer and closer. And I'm always someone that opens up really early in January and races throughout the indoor season. We had to cancel the races as they were coming closer and closer, and then we just had national championships, and I knew I needed to race to try and help the relay team qualify for the European Indoor Championships. Again, I could have shied away from competing at national championships because I knew the performance was not going to be at my desired standards, and I suppose I could have chose a different event and hid away a little. I could have done the 60, I could have done the 200, but I didn't want to. I wanted to go out there and give what I could do for the team. And because we had the European Championships, that was the main goal. And maybe if we didn't have the European Championships, maybe I would have scrapped it totally. But that was the position we were in. And we went out there and successfully together qualified for the European Indoor Championship. So I am looking forward to, I suppose, running with a team this weekend, and it takes the pressure away individually as well. And you can go into the championship and enjoy it, because it's not every day you're in a European Indoor Championship, so you have to take them as they come. And I suppose as athletes, we're literally rolling from one thing to the next. Like when I came fourth 2 years ago, you're straight on to outdoor season. You don't actually stop and enjoy the good times, and you see that when the hard times roll around. So it definitely makes you appreciate that you do need to stop and enjoy the good times when they are there.
That individuality of athletics is massive, and it's so important, I guess, from your perspective then to talk to people. And I know, like we've spoken on the show before, the boxers or golfers, or Ronnie O'Sullivan has even spoken about the impact Steve Peters, his psychologist, has had with him. Has that been something that you've leaned on or decided to lean on in recent years, the whole psychological aspect of the sport?
100%. And like, I have a great sports psychologist, Ger Shane, who I work with all the time, and she has been there right since I started working with Kira in 2017. So like, we've come through all the highs together, and now we have to come through the lows of this, and she's been super. And like, she's dealt with so many other athletes, so she's been there and she knows how I am struggling and how I am feeling. And like, end of the day, the mental side of things is so important and has to be valued, because you have that mental fatigue as well. And say, like, for me, if I'm going out day after day and I'm trying to look for markers and training, and as much as you want to ignore and just turn up and train, you're still looking for that little confidence boost. And if it's coming day after day and you're not getting it, you're like, oh God, what's actually happening here? So that's 100% a massive, I suppose, element of sport, and people should definitely dabble into it so much more, because I can train day in, day out and be 100% perfect, but if that mental side isn't 100% perfect either, then you're not going to get the desired performance overall.
Phil, do you think you had a touch of long COVID?
That was something that was investigated as well, and I suppose there's not enough research there at the moment, but I'm still doing ongoing tests to see that. But the thyroid is definitely the one at the moment that has constantly been bouncing all over the place. And even since I started in athletics, it's always been an issue for me when I was younger and in my teens as well. So I have been put on medication now for it, to just trial it and I suppose see, can we get it under control, because I have enough data there to show that it has been an issue over the last few years. And I do have thyroid antibodies as well, for those listening and understand that. So like, they're there's a family history of it there for me as well, and it's something that I do have to trial, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, then we have to explore other avenues.
The bit you talked about starting a job full time, we've had countless athletes come into us over the years who invested all of their time exclusively into the athletic career, and at the end of it found that they hadn't fully developed the rest of their life, and that ultimately not having something to fall back on led to too much pressure, and so they ended up underperforming at key moments, unconnected to the fact that they weren't training enough because they weren't full time. It was actually they were full time and nothing but that. And then come the moment, they were like, "Oh, this is all I have in my life." For you, that scales of I think Jim Gavin always used to refer to the glass balls in your life. You seem to have managed that over the last while. That sounds like it's been a comfort to you over the last couple of months in particular.
100%, because I've always said sport isn't going to last forever, and like the winter definitely made me realise that. And for me, my career side is just as important as the sporting side. So ever before I started the full-time job, I was completing my master's in WIT. I continued to do add-on modules. My career is in software engineering, so I'm working for a company in Waterford at the moment, and it was something that I wanted to start. I wanted to make that change. Like for me, it's working from home. It's ideal. The office is only 5 minutes away as well, so it is perfect to have that balance. And I suppose it's that security as well. Yes, I am a funded athlete, and I have made my income off sport, and it has been my career for the last few years. But if you're not performing, you're suddenly going to be dropped very quickly, and you have to think as well long term. Like, you're not going to make a fortune off sport, and certainly not off athletics as well. So you do have to think long term about financial security, and I suppose that 100% was a massive security blanket for me during the winter, and a comfort, because even when I did contemplate, right, can I keep going in the sport? And like for me, I suppose other years I would have thought sport is my identity. Yes, I am funded, as I said, but that financial security wasn't there long term. So now it's like, right, I have a full-time job. I have that financial security if I do stop in the sport, and I can move on with my life, and I can move on with my career. So it definitely was 100% that comfort there. But for me also, when I used to go away from the track, I used to go back to work, and it was a switch off from the track. You're not in your head 24/7, and it was a great balance, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And it certainly hasn't been a performance impact. It probably has helped more than anything to create more of a balance there, and it's definitely a change that I am glad that I have made. And I didn't want to be, so I'm 28 now. If I go to Paris Olympics, I'll be approaching 30 in that winter. And I didn't want to be 30 and starting my career then. I didn't want to be at the bottom of the ladder. So for me, it was about starting now, gaining that experience. I suppose I've been in a very lucky position where I haven't had to start, and being financially able to continue the sport through the years. So no, it has been a brilliant change, and it certainly hasn't been performance impacting that some might think. But there just has been a lot of other things going on behind the scenes that I finally, I suppose, have shared and given a bit of transparency towards.
That's fascinating that you've had that attitude, Phil, because we speak to a lot of recently retired sports people on the show and Saturday panels and all the rest, and they struggle with that, being an ex-rugby player or an ex-footballer or an ex-Gaelic footballer or hurler, whatever it might be. So the fact that you're already thinking about that, and not wanting to be tagged as just Phil Healy, the athlete. I think I remember hearing you before as well, even disliking the Ireland's fastest woman tag. So that's obviously something that you actively think about, these tags not defining your life.
Absolutely, and you have to, because as I said, sport isn't going to last forever. We never know when it's going to end, and your life has to move on. So it is so important to have that backup plan, and that's why I wanted to keep going with my masters while I was training, so that I did have that fallback if it did ever end. And it is so important for other athletes, no matter what sports, to have that there. And I suppose it's not possible in all situations, but for me, yeah, like, yes, you're out there, you're exposed, you're in the media as the athlete, but not every day is going to be a good day. And like as you say with the tags as well, for me, I just see myself as me, an athlete going out there performing. Yes, I did have national records before. It's great to see Rashida absolutely smashing those records and going to a whole other new level to show what can be done in Irish athletics. And it's great to see for everybody coming up as well. So overall, for me, it is about career development, both on the track and off the track, and it's an important aspect to take care of.
When you made the decision to send the message out about not running in the individual in the Europeans, it was obviously a big deal. Like, I'm actually going to start talking about this, and I'm going to share my story. How do you feel now that you've shared it?
I'm actually very glad that I did, because I suppose anybody can share the good days, and we love posting on Instagram when we have a great performance and we run great times when we're at European Championships or World Championships or whatever it is. And it's easy to share those days, but like I always remember Sinead Galvin, who looks after all of my PR stuff, said that you have people following you, you have people invested in your career, and they're there to support you. And I suppose I had the opportunity to speak to media before nationals, and I didn't want that, because I didn't want it to be like, oh, she's setting herself up and she's making excuses already before she hasn't even performed, and she's looking for that pity. For me, I didn't want any of that, because you are going to have people who understand, and you are going to have people that don't actually understand as well. So for me, I just wanted to go out there, do what I could at nationals. Going in, I knew it wasn't going to be where I wanted to be. Like, I have a very high bar, and when things aren't good enough, I know they certainly aren't good enough. But the outpouring of support after it has been unbelievable, and I suppose people appreciated the honesty and the just being open as well, because, as I said, everybody can share the good days, and it's life, it's reality. Not every day is going to be a good day, so we have to realise, and I understand that I'm only talking about sport here, and there's far bigger issues going on, but in the end of the day, it is my career, it's my health involved and different things like that. So I am glad that I did share it, and to be open, and I suppose because you are critiqued, you are out there for people to make judgment, but without people actually understanding what is going on, they can say what they want as well. Yeah,
I think it's showing real leadership to take the opportunity, and it was a really excellent point about there are people out there who will support you and who are emotionally invested in your career, because we've watched it develop and flourish, and we're all dying to see you back running at the rate that you can. There's a good piece with Sinead Kazan in the papers today talking about your sister. There's a possibility there could be 2 Healys in Paris. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's great to see, and Joan's actually in Istanbul as well, so she is running the 60 on Friday, so it's super to see. We were both there in 2021. Joan has a lot of injury setbacks through the year, so it's super to see that she is going to the European Championships. And there was a point as well where she thought she was going to be finished her career at 30. She's now 30. She's going to her second European Indoor Championships. She just ran a PB last year. She's running quicker than ever. So it's brilliant to see. So hopefully as the summer goes on, she will be at World Championships and Paris obviously in 2024 as well.
Who was faster in the back garden though as kids, Phil? That's the big question.
It was 100% her. She's actually the only reason that I joined the sport, because she led the way and she was the one winning everything, and I only joined the athletic club to keep her company. So I was definitely a late developer, and she was the one shining through at the younger ages.
The 4x400 is absolute hardcore. It's carnage on the track. Like, you need pointy elbows.
Absolutely, and it's even more carnage indoors. So it is fun. It's entertaining for everybody watching, and it's great to see that we do have a team there this weekend. And yes, we have the performance this weekend, but posting times and actually competing at this level has a knock-on effect for qualifying for World Relay Championships in 2024 and World Championships in the summer of 2023 as well. So it's great to see. We have 3 of the same team that were in Munich, and we have 2 new young athletes as well, which is super to see. They're making their debut, as I said earlier, and the depth in 400 meters is growing and growing. Obviously, unfortunately, we don't have Rashida for this championship, because she is obviously smashing things over in the US and has her NCAA championships coming up. But no, it's great to see. We've obviously broke the national records outdoor last year. They stood for a long time. So the overall aim with all these championships and with all these 400 meter 4x4 relay is to qualify for Paris as well.
Well, listen, there's a green storm rising in Irish athletics, and I just want to say thanks very much for your openness and your honesty this morning. It's really inspiring. Best of luck this weekend.
Super. Thanks a million.